Hi everyone, hi beautiful moms, it's Beata. Today I wanted to come on and talk about 5 tips that can help if you feel like you have low supply. And so I've been so happy to connect with so many of you beautiful moms, and a common theme that does come up in many of your journeys and stories is that you have trouble with a low breast milk supply. And whether that be that you're breastfeeding baby and you're having issues for various reasons, or you're having to pump and you're not being able to pump enough for various reasons, I wanted to give you 5 tips that may help increase your supply. And first off, we want to make sure of how do we know if we have low supply, right? So the first way to know is if you are directly breastfeeding baby, it is impossible to know how much they're transferring unless you do have a weighed feed. That can be done by a lactation consultant, and you're tracking their output, so their wet diapers, wet and dirty diapers. So those are key things to look at. And if you're pumping, then you can see how much you're producing. But also, if you are pumping and you're breastfeeding, pumping is not an adequate accurate representation of what your baby is able to get out when they are actually breastfeeding. So that's just something important to keep in mind. So let's say you feed baby and then a couple of hours later you have to pump and you only pump like 2 ounces. It doesn't mean that your baby is only getting 2 ounces during that feed. They may be getting more, and so they may be getting less. So that's where sometimes lactation consults come in handy. And so when we get started with the tips, the first thing I want to mention is that our bodies are amazing, so amazing. So when your baby latches, they actually have there's an interaction between our bodies. So your baby's saliva sends messages through our body, and it lets us know, our body know, what kind of milk to produce. Whether right now they need more fatty milk, whether they need less fatty milk, etc. So our body actually takes these signals from baby's saliva, and it modifies the kind of milk that they are getting. And so how cool is that, right? I mean, it's amazing. But that's also why you can, for example, tandem feed a toddler on one side and a baby on the other side, and the toddler will be getting the milk that they need and the baby will be getting the milk that they need, all at the same time. And then you can switch breasts and same thing happens. That saliva exchange happens, and now your breasts are able to produce the milk that that baby needs. So it's really, I was blown, my mind was blown when I first learned that. So that's one thing that's important to remember. So let's say you are exclusively pumping. Or even if your baby has a difficult time latching and you're not sure how much he's getting, so maybe a great strategy and tip would be to actually latch them, if you're able to, if baby's close by, to latch them first so they get some of that saliva on your breast and then pump. Because what happens is your body gets signals, okay, this is the kind of milk that I need to produce. So that's one thing that's helpful, because as we all know, my toddler, she's not getting hundreds of ounces of milk, but my body is responding to her needs and creating a more fatty milk or whatever she needs, so that she's still getting those same ounces that she really did as a baby, but the composition is different to meet her growing needs as a toddler now. So that's my first tip. To latch baby before you pump, if you're able to. If you're separate, I understand that that's a challenge. The next thing, this is actually a bonus tip. So I'm sure most of you have Googled and you've seen galactagogues. And so essentially these are dietary foods that there is some research, but also a lot of just personal experience that people feel like it boosts their supply. However, when we have babies with GI issues, with allergies, with intolerances, with sensitivities, a lot of the time these foods and supplements and herbs can actually be very inflammatory for our babies, and they are sometimes high risk. So that is something that I want you to remember, that these are important to trial separately, and to keep that in mind. And so the second real tip is that water is super important. So you want to make sure that you are consuming enough water for yourself, because really your breast milk comes from blood. So if you're dehydrated, you're going to have essentially less fluids in your system, less expendable. So when our bodies are creating breast milk from our blood, we need to have that supply of fluids. So number 2 is going to be to make sure that you are drinking enough water. Number 3, and also that is different for each person, so that can be customized further. Number 3 is fat. So we do need fat intake to create breast milk, because again, our breast milk tends to be fatty, and that's what the babies need. And it is important to have an adequate supply of fat to create that breast milk. And again, that's individual per person and customizable, but that is important to make sure that you're getting enough of. The 4th one, I want to make sure I don't forget anything, is something called, again, vagus nerve stimulation. So we talked about this on a different video. I can link it below if you're interested in learning more about the vagus nerve, so you can click there. But essentially, like, the quick version is that the vagus nerve essentially helps to stimulate our body so that we are in a state of rest and digest. And when we are in a state of rest and digest, we actually get more letdowns. Our body can relax more, and we can get the milk flowing better. So throughout the videos, there are many strategies on how to increase your vagus nerve tone and how to improve that rest and digest stage. So if you're interested in that, feel free to send me a message. I can send you some extra trainings on that as well. And the last tip that I have is actually the mindful breathing technique and a meditation. So what I want us to do, what I invite you to do, is to put your hand on your heart if you're able to, and I just want to take 3 mindful breaths with you. So it's going to be in through the nose and into the belly, nice and slow. I do about a count of 4, and then a nice long exhale through an open mouth, kind of like so, for about a count of 8. So I invite you to take 3 of these breaths with me together. You can keep your eyes open, closed, whatever feels good to you. Good, and then you can slowly open your eyes if they're closed. And I want you to kind of just feel, how do you feel after doing that? And so many will say that you feel a little bit more relaxed, a little more calm. And that is a great tip. So when you start pumping, or, as you're getting ready, a lot of the time we're rushing, let's say we're at work, we only have X amount of time to, set everything up, pump, and get back to work and whatnot. So that is a tip that you can, you set up, you're kind of rushing and all that, but then you take a moment to do a few of those breaths. Automatically it puts you into more of a relaxed state, so that again you can have more letdowns and your body can relax. Now, at the same time, there is a meditation you can do with it. So some people will recommend that you look at pictures of your baby, which is great to do as well. I like to take it a step further and to actually do a mindfulness practice or a meditation around that. So something, again, that, if you're pumping right now, we'll do just a quick version for now. I'll have you close your eyes if you're able to. And I want you to take 1 mindful breath. So in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I want you to picture your baby. And I want you to imagine their eyes and their little nose and their little head and their lips and their little hands. And when they're close to you, if you're holding them, how they a lot of the time will just cuddle right into you, and how you are their sense of support and safety. You are their comfort. And I want you to remember the feelings that happen when they are cuddled up to you. I want you to imagine their smell. A lot of times people say there's, a newborn smell that each baby has. I want you to imagine hearing their noises that they make. Whether it's babbling or screaming and crying, that's okay too. Or sometimes cooing even. I want you to hear those noises. I want you to imagine feeling their soft skin, their perfect newborn skin, and how soft it is when it's touching your skin, and how it feels when they do rest on your chest and their skin is on your skin, on your chest. And I want you to breathe all that in. So now that you have this picture of your baby in your head, I want you to take 3 more mindful breaths. Good, and you can slowly open your eyes if you'd like. And again, how did that feel? So that exercise can actually help create a sensation. It's really a mindfulness or a meditation exercise that can help you create the environment that your baby is here with you, even if you're at work. And it triggers a response that can actually help increase your letdowns and increase your supply. So I'd love to know if this was helpful. You can actually just play this little clip as you are pumping, so at work or wherever you are. So I'd love to see your comments below. What do you feel? What did you experience? And also, if you are interested, if there is enough interest in a longer meditation that we can use, that's maybe like 20 minutes long, like a pumping session, I can do one, record one for you. So if you're interested in that, feel free to message me or leave a comment below, and I'd love to help you with that as well. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day, beautiful moms. You are all doing amazing. Bye.